So it's been almost 25 years since The Simpsons premiered as a full-length TV series, and over the years, numerous scripts have either been rejected or was never finalized. But supposedly there was one episode that was so disturbing that it never aired. If you didn't notice the title of this video, let me show you the title card. This poster is pretty unique and interesting to think of a lost Simpsons episode with such unrealistic details, but I do wonder why Matt Groening would even give someone a link to the lost episode, considering the fact that the video causes a virus to your computer and will make it so that you can't even get rid of the video. Something tells me this is fake, but whatever, I got Creepypasta to read, so let's get this over with. You know how Fox has a weird way of counting Simpsons episodes? The reason for this is a lost episode from Season 1. Finding details about this missing episode is difficult. For what has been pieced together, the lost episode was written entirely by Matt Groening. During production of the first season, Matt started to act strangely. He was very quiet, seemed nervous, and morbid. I first heard the episode at an event where David Silverman was speaking. Someone in the crowd asked him about the episode, and Silverman simply left the stage, ending the presentation hours early. The episode's production number was 7G06, and the title was Dead Bart. The episode labeled 7G06, Moaning Lisa, was made later and given Dead Bart's production code to hide the latter's existence. At a fan event, I managed to find Matt Groening after an event, and eventually had a chance to talk to him alone as he was leaving the building. He didn't seem upset that I had followed him, probably expected a typical counter with an obsessive fan. When I mentioned the lost episode though, all color drained from his face and he started trembling. When I asked him if he could tell me any details, he sounded like he was on the verge of tears. He grabbed a piece of paper, wrote something on it, and handed it to me. He begged me never to mention the episode again. The piece of paper had a website address on it. I would rather not say where it was, for reasons you'll see in a second. When I got home, I entered the address into my browser, and I came to a site that was completely black, except for a line of yellow text and a download link. I clicked on it, and the file started downloading. Once the file was downloaded, my computer went crazy. It was the worst virus I have ever seen. System restore didn't work. The entire computer had to be rebooted. Before doing this though, I copied the file onto a CD, and I tried to open it on my now empty computer. And as I suspected, there was an episode of The Simpsons on it. The episode started off like any other episode, but had very poor quality animation. If you've seen the original animation from Some Enchanted Evening, it was similar but less stable. The first act was fairly normal, but the way the characters acted was a little off. Homer seemed angrier, Marge seemed depressed, Lisa seemed anxious, Bart seemed to have genuine anger and hatred for his parents. The episode was about the Simpsons going on a plane trip. Near the end of the first act, the plane was taken off. Bart was fooling around, as you expect. However, as the plane was about 50 feet off the ground, Bart broke a window on the plane and was sucked out. At the beginning of the series, Matt had an idea that the animated style of the Simpsons world would represent life, and that death turned things more realistic. This was used in this episode. The picture of Bart's corpse was very recognizable. They took full advantage of not having it move, and made an almost photorealistic drawing of his body. Act 1 ended with a shot of Bart's corpse. When Act 2 started, Homer, Marge, and Lisa were sitting at the table, crying. The crying went on and on. It got more pained and sounded more realistic. Better acting than you would think possible. The animation started to decay, even more as they cried, and you could hear murmuring in the background. The characters could barely be made out. They were stretchy and blurring. They looked like deformed shadows with random bright colors thrown on them. There were faces looking in the windows, flashing in and out, so you were never sure what they looked like. The crying went on for all of Act 2. Act 3 opened with a title card saying, 1 year has passed. Homer, Marge, and Lisa were skeletally thin and still sitting at the table. There were no sign of Maggie or the pets. They decided to visit Bart's grave. Springfield was completely deserted, and as they walked to the cemetery, the houses became more and more decrepit. They all looked abandoned. When they got to the grave, Bart's body was just lying in front of his tombstone, just like he did at the end of Act 1. The family started crying again. Eventually they stopped and they stared at Bart's body. The camera zoomed in on Homer's face. According to summaries, Homer tells a joke at this part, but it isn't audible in the version I saw. Can't tell what Homer is saying. The view zoomed out as the episode came to a close. The tombstones in the background had the names of every Simpsons guest star on them, some that no one had even heard of in 1989, some that haven't even been on the show yet. All of these had death dates on them, for guests who died since, like Michael Jackson and George Harrison. The dates were when they would die. The credits were completely silent and seemed hand-drawn. The final image was the Simpsons family on their couch, like in the intros, but all drawn in a hyper-realistic, lifeless style of Bart's corpse. A thought occurred to me after seeing the episode for the first time. You could try to use the tombstones to predict the death of living Simpsons guest stars, but there was something odd about most of the ones who haven't died yet. All the deaths are listed as the same date. I had to get rid of that computer I watched the episode on. Even after a complete reformatting, it never worked correctly. The episode's file could never be deleted from it, and it kept opening on its own. I wiped the hard drive clean several times and the episode wouldn't go away. The sound control didn't work, and it was a laptop, but the power never seemed to run out, and I couldn't get it to turn off. I was going to keep the computer just so I'd have a copy of the lost episode, but looking at it made me nervous. I had recurring nightmares several nights in a row. The episode was playing, but instead of the photorealistic Bart's corpse, it was myself at 10 years old. I found a picture of myself at 10, and the nightmare was closer to it than my own memory had been. After that, I destroyed the computer. I haven't been able to get the episode out of my head though, and decided to do more research to try to understand it. I found a few people online who seemed to know about it. Apparently the episode aired once in a suburb of Portland, Oregon. I have a cousin who was watching The Simpsons during the first season, and lives around there, so I asked him if he remembered the episode. He asked me how I knew about it. It was a nightmare he had that he had only told his parents about, and I was only a few years old at the time. I told him about the episode I saw and the people online who remembered it. He thought I was just playing a prank at him, and when I got him to look at the online posts about it, he screamed and hung up. He hasn't responded to any attempts I made to contact him since. Determined to get to the bottom of this, I kept researching online. I found someone who said they had a tape of it they would sell to me. I was nervous, but I was determined to find out the truth about this and end the matter. I bought the tape as well as a really old and cheap TV/VCR, since I had a feeling neither would be the same after I watched the episode. The episode was pretty much the same as the file I downloaded. I didn't want to say anymore. This wasn't worth it. I'd give anything to go back to how I felt when I had the computer with the file scarring me. I destroyed the tape, but it didn't help. The commercials on the tape, I didn't want to remember them. They were monsters from my dreams I have never told anyone about, news promos about treasures that haven't happened yet, surreal, computer-generated animation that wouldn't have been possible for the 80s, or now for that matter. A former friend watched it with me, but he saw completely different things, with one exception. There was a seemingly live news report from June 6, 2013. In complete monotone, he recited the details of millions of people have died in their sleep, some of them waking up for a few seconds first, rambling incoherently about something that people could only piece together had something to do with nightmares. I'm sure you can figure out what date was on the tombstones on the currently alive celebrities. There was only one difference in the episode itself though. The joke Homer told was completely clear on this version. When it zooms in on Homer's face while looking at Bart, he says, "If only we were all that lucky."